Hi all. Now we are going to learn about the economic growth, a framework that explains how economies expand their productive capacity and achieve long-term prosperity. Economic growth is not simply about producing more goods today, right? It is about building systems and institutions that allow an economy to produce more efficiently in future. So here we will examine the mechanisms and policy instruments that increase supply side capacity. We'll explore how government can stimulate investment, improve workforce productivity, encourage innovation, and remove barriers that prevent markets from functioning efficiently. By understanding these components, we can see how economic policies interact to raise national output, improve living standards, and strengthen global competitiveness. Okay. So let's learn it in detail. So, before discussing the growth policies, we must first understand the concept of productive potential. So, what is productive potential? Productive potential represents the maximum level of output. Okay, it is the maximum level of output an economy can sustain when all available resources are used efficiently. Okay, so think of it as the economy's production boundary. So inside this boundary, resources may be underutilized due to unemployment, okay, inefficiency or lack of investment. The goal of supply side policy is to expand this boundary outward. So this is the representation. Okay, so this is the productive boundary. Okay, this is the boundary we have. So inside this production boundary, it is inefficient. Okay, we won't be using all available resources effectively. So we need policies that could make it productive. Okay, so what is the prime aim of all the supply side policies? To generate economic growth by structurally raising the productive potential of the entire economy. Okay, so when productive potential increases, businesses can produce more goods and services without creating inflationary pressure. Therefore, supply side policies are different from demand side policies. Instead of increasing spending, they focus on improving the economy's capacity to produce. Clear? So now let's see the domino effect. So the chain reaction created by supply side expansion. That is what we are going to discuss. So the first step is increasing the total supply. We need to increase the total supply. This occurs when productive capacity grows through investment, innovation, or workforce improvements. Okay. Secondly, we need additional resources to become activated. Right. We need to activate the additional resources. Right. New workers enter the labor market. Businesses invest in machinery and technological improvements enhance productivity. Right. Thirdly, we need production cost decline. Okay, we need to reduce the price. So leading to lower market prices, lower costs allow firms to sell product more competitively, right? And finally, improved competitiveness create opportunities for export expansion, right? So domestic firms can enter international market and increase foreign sales. This sequence demonstrates how single improvement in productive capacity can trigger multiple positive outcomes throughout the economy. So first, the total supply increased, right? Pushing the boundaries of the total goods and services produced. As a result, when the production is increased, we need more labors, right? More resources will be utilized. So as a result, we will activate the resources. And then when the production is increased, uh, we can if the production process go through more efficiently, we can cut the production cost. When the production cost is cut, we can also sell it under a reduced price, right, which will increase the demand for that. And also we can expand our uh, supply to the international market, like through export expansion, etc. So that is how the firms will grow. Okay, now let's see the pillars of economic engine. Okay, so the framework presented here identifies three major pillars that drive long-term economic growth. Okay, so the first pillar is fueling enterprise and innovation. Okay, how can you fuel it? This involves encouraging business to invest, expand, and develop new technologies. Okay, so how will you fuel the enterprise? Through tax incentives and subsidies. Okay, The second pillar is optimizing the human engine. Okay, optimizing the human engine. Human capital is one of the most valuable economic resource. Education, training, and effective labor market policies improve worker productivity. So what we need, education and labor regulations. And the third pillar is eradicating market friction, right? So market perform best when unnecessary barriers are removed, like competition, free trade, and deregulation help resources move more efficiently. So we need competition, free trade, and deregulation. Together, these three pillars form a powerful engine capable of expanding economic output and raising living standards. Clear? Now let's see how the fueling enterprises is working. Okay. So first thing is tax incentives, secondly, subsidies and grants. Right. So let's begin with the first pillar, encouraging enterprise and innovation. So government often use tax incentives, okay, to stimulate business investment. Lower taxes increase after tax profit and provide firms with a greater resources for expansion. Okay. Businesses are more likely to purchase new equipment, build facilities, and hire workers when taxes are reduced. Okay. So this is what happens. And another important policy tool is subsidies and grants. Right. So government may provide direct financial assistance to support research and development project. Research and innovation often involve significant cost and risk, right? Subsidies help firms pursue technological advances that they might otherwise avoid. Together, tax incentives and subsidies encourage entrepreneurship, increase investment, and promote technological progresses. So all of which contribute to higher productivity and economic growth. So what we have discussed, tax incentives include reducing tax on profits and the small firms, and it will encourage enterprise and investments in the new equipment, right? Then what about subsidies and grant? It will reduce the production costs, right? And also it will be helpful for the funding, research and development of new technology. Now let's see the second pillar, optimizing the human engine. Okay. So here we will be focusing on people. Economic growth depends heavily on the skills, knowledge, and productivity of workforce. Right. Education and training programs improve human capital by equipping workers with valuable skills. Better trained workers are generally more productive, adaptable, and innovative. Governments may also implement labor market regulations designed to increase workforce participation. For example, policies that encourage employment can help reduce unemployment and bring more people into productive economic activity. An efficient labor market ensures that workers can move into jobs where their skills are most valuable, increasing overall economic output. Okay, so education and training, then labor market regulation. Then we have the third pillar, that is eradicating market friction. Let's see how they are doing that. So the third pillar involves removing obstacles that prevent market from operating efficiently. Competition policy is designed to limit monopolistic behavior. Okay. When firms compete, they are motivated to lower prices, improve quality, and innovate. And then free trade agreements. Free trade agreements reduce barriers between countries. By lowering tariffs and restrictions, business gain access to larger market and consumers benefit from lower prices and greater product variety. Then we have the deregulation modes. Okay. So the deregulation removes unnecessary rules and administrative burden that can slow business activity. When market frictions are reduced, resources flow more efficiently, productivity increases, and economic growth accelerates. Okay, now let's see the policy diagnosis metrics. So, here we will be summarizing the relationship between policy instruments, their targets, and their economic effects. So, let's start with the tax incentives. Okay, so tax incentives primarily target businesses and encourage investment in equipment and expansion, right? They target at a small firms and corporate profit. What is the action? Tax burden reduction. Okay. And it will encourage enterprise and new equipment investment. Then what about subsidies? Subsidies and grants support research and development activities, right? by reducing costs and promoting innovation. So R&D operations, direct funding, reduce production costs and develop new tech. Then we have education and training. It focuses on human capital development, improving workforce productivity. So focus on human capital, skill acquisition, increase worker productivity. Then competition policy, or before that we have labor regulations, right? Okay. Labor regulations. So labor regulations influence workforce participation and the labor market efficiency. So workforce and union, wage floor and legal restrictions encourage work and restrict union power. Then competition policy. What is competition policy? It ensures fair market and prevent monopolistic practices. So monopolies and large firms outlaw unfair practices and ensure fair domestic trade. Then free trade agreement that will improve international commerce by removing trade barriers, right? So targeting at the international borders, tariff or barrier removal, and trade freely and cheaply. Then lastly, we have the deregulation. So deregulation simplifies businesses operations and reduce unnecessary compliance cost, right? So business activities, rule elimination, and remove costly unnecessary regulation. Clear? To conclude, supply side policies ultimately aim to shift the economy's production frontier outward. Okay, as you can see here. Initially, the economy operates within a limited production boundary. Through investment, innovation, education, competition, and efficient market, productive capacity expands. As the frontier moves outward, the economy can produce more goods and services without creating inflationary pressure, right? So the benefits includes higher employment, lower production costs, increased export, stronger competitiveness, and improved living standards. So the key message of this presentation is that sustainable economic growth is achieved not merely by increasing demand, but by continuously enhancing the economy's ability to produce. Thanks for watching.